So welcome to our Sunday Bhagavatam class. So we'll continue with Canto 1, Chapter 3. We'll see if we can finish reading about the other incarnations today. So we were talking about the 22 incarnations and we have a few more incarnations to cover. Keep in mind, this Chapter 3 is to prove to us that Krishna is actually the source of all incarnations. Generally, there is a misconception that Krishna is one of the incarnations of Lord Vishnu, but that is not accurate as per Srimad Bhagavatam, the narration. So Krishna's position as the avatari will become clear in this particular chapter. So this particular chapter, the third chapter of the first canto, begins with understanding the different Vishnus, specifically the three Purusha avatars. So we'll just quickly review that, begin the incarnations, and then resume after the Nrsimha incarnation to understand the other incarnations of the Lord. Keep in mind that the incarnations of the Lord are unlimited. Unlimited. Generally, we read about the 10 prominent incarnations in comic books, but there are unlimited incarnations of the Lord. So today you'll discover there's much more than 10. But anyway, it's just a few of the main incarnations that are discussed here as well. But we need to operate with the understanding that the Lord has innumerable incarnations because the Lord is there in some part of the universe on a daily basis, performing his different pastimes. Not all of the Lord's pastimes can be captured, but some of the prominent incarnations from different perspectives are actually mentioned in this particular chapter in summary form, with just 1 or 2 sentences. And these incarnations will later on be discussed in a little bit more detail in the upcoming chapters. And certain incarnations, an entire canto is dedicated to some of the incarnations. So in this particular chapter, it begins with Suta Goswami, who is talking to the sages of Naimisharanya. And they have asked him 6 questions in the first chapter. He's begun to answer those questions. And in continuation of answering those questions, he now begins to speak about the position of Sri Krishna. So Suta said, in the beginning of the creation, the Lord first expanded himself in the universal form of the Purusha incarnation and manifested all the ingredients for the material creation. And thus, at first, there was the creation of the 16 principles of material action. This was for the purpose of creating the material universes. A part of the Purusha lies down within the water of the universe. From the navel lake of his body sprouts a lotus stem, and from the lotus flower atop the stem, Brahma, the master of all engineers in the universe, becomes manifest. So here it begins with Karanodakshaya Vishnu, who through the process of breathing generates millions of universes that comes out of the pores of his skin. Once all the universes are created, the same Karanodakshaya Vishnu expands himself to Garbhodakshaya Vishnu and enters into every single universe as the soul of that particular universe. It is on this Garbhodakshaya Vishnu that Lord Brahma takes birth, you could say, atop that lotus flower. It is believed that all the universal planetary systems are situated on the extensive body of the Purusha, but he has nothing to do with the created material ingredients. His body is eternally in spiritual existence par excellence. So when Krishna expands into multiple plenary expansions, but to maintain the material universe, Krishna has to come in the form of the Purusha avatars. Otherwise, Krishna is very busy enjoying himself in Golok Vrindavan with all the gopis, Srimati Radharani, with Mother Yashoda, with Nanda Maharaj. Krishna is too busy having fun. He doesn't have time for creation, maintenance, destruction. That is outsourced down the chain into the Purusha avatars. So even the Purusha avatars do not get contaminated, even though they are responsible for the creation, maintenance, and ultimately the dissolution of the material cosmos. So that's what is being stated in Shloka number 3. The devotees, with their perfect eyes, see the transcendental form of the Purusha, who has thousands of legs, thighs, arms, and faces, all extraordinary. In that body, there are thousands of heads, ears, eyes, and noses. They are decorated with thousands of helmets and glowing earrings and are adorned with garlands. This is the cosmic form of the Lord. This form, the second manifestation of the Purusha, is the source and indestructible seed of multifarious incarnations within the universe. From the participles and portions of this form, different living entities like demigods, men, and others are created. So Prabhupada explains that actually all the Vishnu avatars come from Kshirodakashaya Vishnu. Even though Lord Brahma is seated atop that lotus stem, lotus flower that originates from Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Brahma actually has to approach Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. None of the demigods can see Vishnu. Therefore, when you read different comic books, you will see that they are standing on the shore of the ocean, Kshira ocean. And they can only communicate with the Lord verbally, they can never see him. And the Lord also communicates with them through their heart. So every time Brahma goes and prays and says, yes, my dear Lord, you have to come and do something about the demons, then the Lord takes various avatars. So technically speaking, all of the Vishnu avatars actually originate in Kshirodakashaya Vishnu. Kshirodakashaya Vishnu is also known as the Paramatma of every Jiva. First of all, in the beginning of creation, there were the 4 unmarried sons of Brahma, the Kumars, who, being situated in a vow of celibacy, underwent severe austerities for the realization of the absolute truth. So that means the 22 incarnations, the description has begun. And it begins with the 4 sons of Brahma. The supreme enjoyer of all sacrifices accepted the incarnation of a boar, the second incarnation. And for the welfare of the earth, he lifted the earth from the nether regions of the universe. In the millennium of the rishis, the personality of God had accepted the third empowered incarnation in the form of Devarshi Narada, who is a great sage among the demigods. He collected expositions of the Vedas which deal with devotional service and which inspire non-fruitive action. In the 4th incarnation, the Lord became Nara and Narayana, the twin sons of the wife of King Dharma. Thus, he undertook severe and exemplary penances to control the senses. The 5th incarnation, named Lord Kapila, is foremost among perfected beings. He gave an exposition of the creative elements and metaphysics to Asuri Brahmana, for in course of time this knowledge had been lost. The 6th incarnation of the Purusha was the son of the sage Atri. He was born from the womb of Anasuya, who prayed for an incarnation. He spoke on the subject of transcendence to Alarka, Prahalada, and others. The 7th incarnation was Yajna, the son of Prajapati Ruchi and his wife Akuti. He controlled the period during the change of the Swayambhuva Manu and was assisted by demigods such as his son Yama. So, dissolution does not only happen, uh, or rather, typically we understand that the dissolution of the cosmos happens at the end of Brahma's life. But sometimes dissolution also happened during the change of Manus. So sometimes when one Manvantara ended, dissolution happened. And this particular incarnation is referencing to that changeover to Swayambhuva Manu. The eighth incarnation was King Rishabha, son of King Nabhi and his wife Meru Devi. In this incarnation, the Lord showed the path of perfection, which is followed by those who have fully controlled their senses and who are honored by all orders of life. O Brahmanas, in the ninth incarnation, the Lord, prayed for by sages, accepted the body of King Prithu, who cultivated the land to yield various produce. And for that reason, the earth was beautiful and attractive. When there was a complete inundation after the period of the Chakshusha Manu, and the whole world was deep within water, the Lord accepted the form of a fish and protected Vaivasvata Manu, keeping him up on a boat. The 11th incarnation of the Lord took the form of a tortoise, whose shell served as a pivot for the Bandarachala hill, which was being used as a churning rod by the theists and atheists of the universe. In the 12th incarnation, the Lord appeared as Dhanavantri, and in the 13th, he allured the atheists by the charming beauty of a woman and gave nectar to the demigods to drink. That is the Mohini Avatar. In the 14th incarnation, the Lord appeared as Nrsimha and bifurcated the strong body of the atheist Hiranyakashipu with his nails, just as a carpenter pierces cane. So this is where we stopped in the 18th shloka. So today we will begin with shloka number 19.